Welcome to In Focus. I'm your host, Yesenia Taveras. OurBoys OurMen is a new nonprofit that is establishing professional skills as well as social skills within our young minority men from 5th grade to age 24. Two of the founders, 2 out of 3, is joining us right now, Dion Inge and Timothy Moody. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. It's such an honor to have such a unique program on the set here.
Yes, thank you.
Welcome.
We're excited. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes,
Yeah,
my
yeah.
pleasure. I mean, this is what
Definitely
we do
appreciate
here at W1822. We like to shed light on positive things. We have here young African American men who are helping other young African American men in our community that unfortunately have such a stigma stereotype within our city.
Absolutely.
So let's get into a little bit about who Dion and Timothy are. Talk to us a little bit about your upbringing here in Wilmington.
Okay.
All right, well, I'm Dion Inge. I grew up here in Wilmington, Delaware, right on down 5th and Spruce. I went to Howard High School, graduated from there, but even before that, I also grew up in the foster care system.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I grew up in the foster care system, 13 and a half years. And besides the challenges that presented, we'll get into that later, but besides those challenges, I went to Howard High School of Technology. Then after that, graduated and went to Delaware State University. I graduated my bachelor's in psychology. I'm currently enrolled for my master's in mental health counseling. So I'll be done with that in the next 2 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Plenty of work experience. I work with different youth, Fair School for Boys, which is level 5 maximum security center. I was a social worker for the Division of Family Services, and I currently work at Presley Ridge as a treatment coordinator, working with the foster care youth for the state of Delaware.
Wonderful. I'm loving it. Very determined here. Focus. Timothy?
All right, so also I grew up in Delaware. I actually grew up in Newark, Delaware, but I had the privilege to go to Howard High School where I met a lifetime friend, Dion Inge. There, I had the privilege of studying public service, where I had the opportunity to actually mentor students at Stubbs, which actually sparked my interest into assisting youth. And I was unsure. I was a high school student, unsure of what path I wanted to go to, but I did know that I needed to assist the youth because the level of interest that I gained from receiving for helping the youth was great. It was really great, and that experience carried on and allowed me to study at Delaware State University and psychology major, and where I actually met the other founder, Charles Robinson-Snead, and there we had a lot of conversations, us three, about the different impacts that we want to show and make on the youth and things like that. I was able to graduate from Delaware State University, and I worked at Terry Children's Center, Fair School for Boys, where it allowed me to actually expand our horizons, working with that population and learning the things that they need and things like that. And I actually continued my education and to go to Springfield College, where I study mental health counseling, and now I actually do therapeutic support for families right now, assisting youth. So just with that experience, it allowed me to work with this student, or work with the youth, and figure out what things that they need, and also through my own upbringings and things like that to actually figure out how to best support the youth.
And now the two of you are very successful young men here.
Thank you.
And if I may, I do want to dig in a little bit deeper because like I mentioned earlier, unfortunately in Wilmington, there is a stereotype from other outlets, media outlets that label us as killer town, murder town.
Yes,
and it's not truly like that for everyone. And so this is where I want to dig into your lifestyles as a young African American male. Growing up right here in Wilmington, Delaware, going to Howard High School. Give us some insight on just that experience and that element of your life.
You want to take this one first?
Okay, so yeah, so just growing up in this area, just learning different things about how to survive and be successful in this area. I grew up where I had a supportive family, but my family wasn't educated on like the educational route. So they know that you're going to be successful and you're going to go to school, but they didn't know what type of things that I needed to do to be successful, right? I was not afforded the resources to someone to tell me how to fill out a FAFSA, someone tell me what major I needed to apply for to go to, because initially I wanted to be, when I went to college, I wanted to do be a guidance counselor, and I took up psychology, which was the wrong field. I didn't understand those things growing up. I just know that I wanted to be successful and I needed to go to college, but I didn't know the in-between. I know the A and B, but I didn't know the in-between there. So growing up as a young man in this area, it's just, I was at a deficit of resources, and just learning how to navigate through those things without resources was a little difficult, but I was able to manage. Yeah, so.
And what was the how? Because you did mention the generational gap between your parents, the people who are supporting you, and then also you as a child growing up, trying to figure out your own way. So what was the how that you learned? The how to?
So the how that I learned was just determination, right? And just continuously asking questions. If you don't get the answer that you want, you got to continue to ask questions. I was blessed with a mentor, Mr. Dixon, who showed me how to how to network and communicate with others. And I think that was a big how, just learning how to network and learning how to navigate my way. Instead of just being quiet and not saying anything, I learned how to network and speak to others.
And how important is it to have a mentor?
It's extremely important. It's extremely important. A mentor definitely shows you things that they may have learned, and it keeps you on the right track, and helps you to continue to reach for your goals and continue striving.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then for Dion, you just mentioned to us about having been brought up in the foster care system, and I personally got introduced to an organization called Kind to Kids just recently, last Friday, that deals with foster kids, and I almost cried at the at the event, because to hear the stories of these young kids who are being brought up into this system, and having to go from family to family, household to household, not really having stability, and trying to look for that family that they could call their own, but also having to deal with that and go to school and make sure you stay on top of your grades and things like that. Talk to us about your perspective as a young minority in the system, and give us some insight on any hardships, adversities you faced, and how you were able to actually push through that and become the person you are today. Because I'm pretty sure there's a foster care student out there that's looking at you now. It's like, how do you do this?
So I grew up in the system. I said, back when I was in foster care, the most you could stay in was 18 years. So out of the 18 possible years, I was in there for 13 and a half. I went in there from birth. Then went back with my family when I was about 5, and then we got taken away again when I was 9, and then I aged out. It took me a very long time to get comfortable with the situation. I used to think everything was my fault. I used to think that maybe if I wouldn't have said this to a teacher, or I wouldn't have said that to a counselor, I still would have been with my family. So it took me a very long time. I used to have stories made up for every different family that I went to on how they were some long distant relative, some long distant grandmother, cousin. And it was kind of hard, especially when I was with families that weren't the same race as me. And my imagination was very good for me to come up with some of these stories and for people to, I'm gonna say they believed it because they stopped asking. But then I got to a point where I realized that maybe once I accepted the situation, because I couldn't control what happened to me, I could only control how I reacted to what happened to me.
Okay.
So the moment I sat there and I realized that, and I'll never forget this day, I was 11 years old in one of my few last foster homes, and I was listening to the radio and something just hit me. I used to be so mad and angry at my family because I felt as though they didn't want me. So I used to wake up every day and use that as motivation. So I was doing well, but I was doing well for the wrong reasons. And me waking up at 10, 11, 12 years old so angry literally made me physically sick.
Okay.
So I decided that I'm still going to continue doing as well as I'm doing, but I'm doing it for me now. I'm doing it because I want better. One of the hardest things is opening up to your peers about you not being with your family.
I learned that. A lot of foster care students, that day, that was the first time they opened up to tell their story.
And it's very hard. And we met at summer sessions, football, freshman year. And instantly we just clicked, we got along, and I felt safe. And that's the biggest fear, is we don't feel safe. Because when people found out before, when I was in foster care, I got teased, made fun of, left out of things. So that's when the stories started coming. So now I wanted people to accept me. Well, when I met Tim here, it's been about, what's that? It's 2019, so it's that 15 years? 15 years that we've been really close. He's family, so he's my family. And I say, if there is a foster care kid watching and looking, that the one thing you have to realize is not your fault. And I do go around telling my story. I've been the keynote speakers at many events. I have a couple events coming up where I'm be a keynote speaker at. But the one thing I like to tell foster kids is that it's not your fault. You did nothing wrong. And please stop beating yourself up. Don't blame you. It wasn't your job to take care of you.
Right.
And to anybody that's a foster parent, I tell them thank you, thank you, thank you. They all weren't good homes, but they all weren't bad either. And one of the hardest things is when you go from home to home, is every new home you go to, it kind of takes away, I guess, from your confidence. And one thing that OurBoys OurMen is going to definitely do is learn how to bring that confidence out of each and every person, whether you're in foster care or not.
That's right. And the mental component of this is just as important, especially amongst African Americans in general and minorities in general. But it's so inspiring to hear you tell your story and to see you still here on the other end, so successful, starting your own nonprofit, having graduated from Del State University. So you've beat the odds.
Yes.
But take us back to the little Dion, the teenage kid, the young brother who had to suppress and hone in that anger. How did you manage all of these different emotions, which we'll get into? OurBoys OurMen is actually going to teach these young boys that as well. But how did you learn to do that and still come out on top academic-wise?
First thing would definitely be the mentor. And as Tim stated earlier, was Mr. Dixon. He
mentored the both of you?
Yes.
Okay. Who's Mr. Dixon?
He's actually our public service teacher at Howard High School of Technology.
Wonderful. Okay.
But I actually met him when I was 11, when I went to one of my last 3 foster homes. And he was like the father figure, because I don't know I don't even know my father's name. I don't know my biological father at all. Okay. So, and that's something that's too common amongst young men in the city. So Mr. Dixon helped me understand that no matter what I've been through, no matter what I'm going through, no matter what I'm going to go through, because trials are inevitable, that it only matters how you conduct yourself and what you allow to affect you. He taught me at a very young age that my emotions are very priceless. My emotions are sacred. Everybody's not allowed to have my anger. Everybody's not allowed to have my happiness, my tears, my sadness, my sorrow. So once that got instilled in me, and I realized that I can either use this as a crutch, or I can use this as a testimony. And I chose the latter. I chose to use it as a testimony, allow me to be able to help anybody out there, let alone myself.
That's so amazing. This is just a great opportunity to hear you tell your story. And I'm just listening to you and I'm thinking to myself about Timothy and the society that we're living in right now. There's so many people that are so judgmental.
Yes,
you know,
absolutely.
You shouldn't, birds of a feather flock together, so you shouldn't hang out with this person for whatever reasons that person is doing. But that's not really the case for some of us. We don't judge people. We allow them to live their life, and we still come meet in the center and be friends with everyone. So you were mentioning you met him as a young kid, and he instantly connected with you. Talk to us, Timothy, about the friend perspective, how did that happen, that partnership, you not really judging him for not knowing who his father is, for not being raised with his family, unlike you having that opportunity?
Right.
Take us back to that moment.
So honestly, I never like judged Dion. So when I first met Dion, I didn't know he was a foster child. But I always been brought up. I like to think my mom and my dad brought me up like with good morals. So I'm not gonna instantly judge him. Like he said, we were playing football. He seemed like a pretty good guy. And I was like myself. I was pretty shy myself. So when I first go into areas, I was pretty quiet. And so I think that me and Dion just end up having a conversation about something, and I was like, you know what? It's someone that's easy to talk to, and we could just have a conversation. We're both freshmen coming in here, so we both got to tackle this high school thing together. So it was just a connection, and he had like a really good vibe about him. So he wouldn't come off like he was going through these great things that he said he was going through. He was like really positive and upbeat about everything he did, and it brought like a livelihood to me, and had me excited and wanting to be engaged and things like that. So I didn't think about him as a foster kid. I thought of him as a friend. So.
And was there ever a moment where you guys felt like you knew at that time you had each other's back and you gained each other's trust?
Yes, I think it was early on. We were like,
absolutely.
That's amazing. Yes. And so let's talk about the strength of brotherhood. Shout out to your barber, Tony Hill. Tony Hill told me about you. He was just cutting your hair. He's like, I got to tell you about Dion and what these brothers are doing. I was like, oh my God, we only have two, but there's also Charles.
Yes.
3 young African-American men who are really going after this and really trying to beat the odds and help these young men, cultured men. So talk to us a little bit about Our Boys, Our Men. How did this organization come about?
This has been in the making for years now. And I would say it was actually in the making before we knew it was in the making.
Okay.
And I say that to say with all of our experience and everything that we've been through, because we all three come from 3 different walks of life, but we all have the same common goal. So when we sat down and talked about it, we were always waiting for the right time. Like, no, let's wait till this happens. Let's wait for that to happen. Let's wait for this to happen. Then eventually we said all those things were never going to happen at the same time we wanted. So now is the time to get it done. And that sense of brotherhood that we plan to bring to Our Boys, Our Men is, I want to say, the essence of what's going to help make this program very successful. Knowing that somebody's there for you, that has your back, knowing that somebody's there going through the same thing that you're going through, that you're not alone. One of our biggest things as people, one of our biggest needs is the need to be accepted, the need to be wanted, the need to be loved. And we want to bring all of that to our boys. And we're going to bring love, and we're going to let everybody know that you're not alone, and we're going to tackle this thing called life together, and we're going to come out on the other side. Because unfortunately, our path in life is already written out for us, and it's not always in a positive one. So we're going to take that and we're going to use that as our motivation, as our stepping stones, and we're going to come out on the other side and let them and show them, see, I made it, I can do it.
Wonderful. And Timothy, give us your perspective in regards to you and Charles also joining forces with Dion as well.
Right. Yeah. So just a little bit about brotherhood. Brotherhood for me is like a motivation force and also a support system. So motivation force because, like, for instance, Dion mentioned that we played football, but we always competed. So I don't compete. I don't want to compete with Dion just to say that I'm better than him, but I want to compete with him to make him better, which is also going to make me better as well. And the same thing as a support system. So if one of us feel like we're going to not achieve certain things that we want to achieve, then that's that support system who's going to also continue to push us and continue to allow us to motivate us and to continue us to make us continue on and stay strong. So whatever things and so if I needed also as a support system, if I needed someone that I needed to speak to about a certain matter or things of that sort, I have that support system. So brotherhood is really extremely important for motivation and support. And for Our Boys, Our Men, as we stated, like we have a plethora of personal and professional experience about the way youth should be, how youth should be successful. And I've been through different programs and seen different things, and I've seen a lot of things that I like, and I see different things I think that should be implemented into different programs. So instead of working for someone else and making and helping that program go, me, Dion, and Charles actually decided that we should create something of our own, so that way we can implement the things that we like and implement the things that we think that should be also taught to our students. So that's where Our Boys Our Men came from.
And it's amazing because now you're going to be that catalyst that's going to help and mentor, just like someone mentored the two of you.
Right.
And your message is so deep because you're talking about the importance of collaboration. We're here, even in the state of Delaware, there's so much competition that's happening, right?
Oh,
as you mentioned, as a young kid in sports, it's very competitive, and even in the working world, you have to be very competitive to actually keep your job. But here, the three of you are showing just as important how collaborating is. And the calls for coming together as one to have a bigger, greater benefit and impact in our community. Absolutely. And so what is this going to look like? Like, I know you guys are going to have financial literacy training, you're going to have public speaking, resume building, even the physical components. You tell me what it's going to look like.
Well, as you were stating, one of the biggest things that I noticed, me personally, and I think I can speak for Tim and Charles as well, is when it comes to the financial literacy part, I didn't learn anything about that until I was going through it. So I didn't understand the importance, the proper way to use a credit card. I didn't know what interest rates were. I didn't know how rent worked. I didn't know all that until I was going through it, and then I had to figure it out the hard way. So I like to kind of look at it as though, this was said to me a long time ago, and it stuck with me. If I'm driving down 95 and I see that it's traffic, I can now call back and tell somebody, hey, you don't want to take 95, find a different route because it's too much traffic. The issue I had as a young kid was, no, I'm going to go down 95 because you don't know what you're talking about, and I'm going to go see for myself, and boom. I could have avoided all of that had I listened. So that we're going to be doing the financial literacy, public speaking. One of the biggest fears of anybody is to get in a room full of strangers and talk, especially talk about yourself. So in order to get that confidence to get into a room and be able to speak and carry yourself very well, we're going to bring that out. And the physical endurance, as you said, we're good on academics is great, but we're also big on mental health, physical health, spiritual health, and we're going to make sure that all aspects of our lives are equally balanced to have the best chance at success.
And why is it so important to cultivate these young men in this way?
The skills that Dion just presented, I think that is really important because it first of all allows you to be successful and provide, because we know that every young man, every person wants to be able to provide for themselves, be able to either get that car that they want, go on that vacation that they need, and things like that. So without these skills, without learning how to be able to create an academic plan, a financial plan for yourself, you'll be broke the next day. So we want to teach you those skills. We want to be able to teach you like the resume building. So that way we know when you submit your resume, they don't know who you are. So you got to be able to explain yourself through a piece of paper. So and a lot of our students don't know how to make a good resume. They might have a lot of good credentials, but they don't know how to sell themselves on a piece of paper. So we want to be able to teach those skills. So that way they're able to be successful and be able to get those things that they actually work hard for. And also another thing, like social skills. If our students do not know how to express themselves in a manner, then they won't be able to keep their job. They won't be able to get into the school that they want to go to because they don't have the social skills to adapt to environments. Yeah.
It's so nice to hear your perspective, especially as men, because sometimes the financial literacy component is what can hold a man back from actually getting on one knee to propose to a woman because they're like, I'm not ready yet. Kids in the future, it's going to cost a lot of money, so it holds them back. But like you said, if you know and you're educated on how to manage that part of your life, then the rest can kind of come as you go along your journey. So that's great. And now you also mentioned about taking field trips outside of Delaware, so that these young kids here who probably have never even been to Newark or Bear can actually see like there's life outside of the city limits. So talk to us about why is that so important?
I would say just the exposure of realizing that your world is a lot bigger than Wilmington. A lot of kids don't understand that. A lot of kids tend to know the 4 blocks in each direction around them, and that's it. So what we want to do is cultivate them and get them exposed to different backgrounds or different styles of life. So we're going to do the college tours in different states. We're going to take them to, the Holocaust Museum, the African American History Museum. And then also going to be like the fun field trips as well. And we believe in a positive reinforcement. So you shed light on the behaviors you would like to see repeated. So if our kids are working hard and going through and reaching goals and milestones, we want to congratulate that, because the negative is very loud. The negative things in life are very loud, it's very highlighted all around them. Where the positive things is, you were supposed to do that. Well, they didn't have to do that. So, and then some people they don't know there's other things. They don't know that some people aren't making a choice because they don't know, they think there is no other option. They're only doing what they know. And we just want them to know that there's different avenues that they can take.
Wonderful. And before we go, I'd like to give the floor to you to not only give an opportunity to say some last words, but to also shed light on the mentor that was in your life at Howard High School, and now how he's actually helped to spark that fire and that movement amongst you guys. So if you could just give a little bit, just a few seconds to him as well, to thank him for actually showing you, the two of you, what it looks like to be a mentor, because now that the two of you are serving for other young gentlemen and young kids, and whatever else you'd like to share with us before we go.
Well, his name's Robin Michael Dixon. He's probably gonna be mad I just said his whole name.
Government name, right? It's on a government TV show.
But yeah, he was a father to a fatherless child, and without his support, without his knowledge, without his understanding, without his care, his empathy, I really don't know where I may be. And I try to tell him that in every chance that I get, and I really do appreciate him, because I was in a very lost, dark place until I met him, and he helped me see the good in life. No matter how great of a front I had in high school and middle school and stuff, I was very angry and very lost and dark, and he saved me, and I appreciate that, and I'll always love him for that.
Wonderful. And Timothy?
Yeah, and Mr. Dixon was really a positive influence in my life. He actually showed me different things that I may not have been able to be exposed to if it wasn't for him. So thank you, Mr. Dixon, for that. I guess a few things that I would like people to know about our program is just that we're really eager to make sure that our youth are successful. Just being able to adapt in the different areas in their life is just important. So being able to adapt in school, being able to adapt at home, being able to adapt in like the workplace is really important, and just teaching our students those skills so that they're able to be successful and be those young men that we know that they can be is really important. And that's our goal, and we're going to accomplish that goal by any means necessary.
Yes, like you mentioned, job seeking, resume building, professional skills, physical skills, as well as public speaking, and also the component that we didn't really touch too much bases on, but you're also going to teach these young men how to manage their anger as well. Which is a huge component to learning how to, because emotions is also part of our life as well.
Very much so.
Well, thank you to the both of you for allowing us to dig into these layers, and thank you for being so transparent. Honestly, from my heart, that's very it's an opportunity that we don't get as often, and the
Yes.
two of you just dived right in, and I truly appreciate that on behalf of all of us here.
We
Thank you so
appreciate
much.
the opportunity. If I can, real quick, if anybody's interested in joining the organization, like they got people that fit the criteria, you can go to OurBoysOurMen@gmail.com, and you could call at 302-379-8288 and let us know the youth's name and age and what you're looking for, and we'll continue the conversation there.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, and we'll have to follow up later down this year
absolutely. We would
and
love
have a
to.
child or a young man on the show as well.
Absolutely. Yes.
Thank you so much. And on behalf of all of us here at WITN 22, we'd like to say thank you so much for watching this episode of In Focus. I've been your host, Yesenia Taveras.